It's hard to believe that we are already at the end of 2025. But along with that comes all of our thoughts on the cozy games that we played this year. So, whether you're looking for some new cozy game recommendations, or wondering how my opinions on the cozy games this year compared to your own, stay tuned because I'm going to be going over every cozy game that I played in 2025, ranked from best to worst. Alright, so starting off this video with a lovely game known as Aloft. Aloft is a fantastic crafting survival-based game with a whimsical touch to it in that you start out on a floating island and throughout the game traverse your way to other floating islands, making really cool discoveries along the way. I gotta say, I absolutely loved this game, and for the first few months after it came out, I just played it non-stop. If I had to say anything bad about the game, really the only thing would be the traversing and the traveling throughout the game, and just how tedious it is. At least the last time that I played, there was no fast travel system in place, and it sometimes felt like it took IRL half hours to get from one island to another, which is not really what you're trying to do when you're, sitting down to play some games and chill out. So that was a big pitfall for me. But aside from that, the exploration was so rewarding. The art style was incredible. The sound score was super calming. So, because of the pitfall in it, I don't think I'm going to be putting this one quite at an S rank. However, it is going to be really close for me, and I am going to be ranking Aloft at A rank. So the next game that I'm going to talk about is one called Best Served Cold. I will say, with Best Served Cold, it wasn't the type of game that I normally flock to. I don't play a whole lot of visual novel style games, but there was something that drew me in and allured me to this one where I did want to play a bit. And I think a big part of that being that I am a huge sucker for anything mystery or detective related. And Best Served Cold definitely fell into that genre. The whole game surrounds around you playing as an undercover agent working for some undercover police. And you work behind a bar in a speakeasy. And along the way are interrogating the customers, secretly, they don't know, and trying to find out the secret behind a recent crime. So despite this genre not being my typical cup of tea, I will say the bit of it that I did play, I did really enjoy. I didn't finish this game, so I definitely intend on going back to it at some point. But although it's not like top tier for me in terms of gameplay, and did struggle to hold my interest in some ways, especially with the way that you deduct your reasoning throughout the game and try to put questions and clues together. Sometimes I felt that was a little bit tedious and confusing. The gameplay was there, the story was there, the characters were great. So for me, I'm going to be putting Best Served Cold at a B rank. Okay, alright, so some of you guys who are familiar with my various channels might be expecting what I'm about to say with the next game called Blueprints. The premise of Blueprints is honestly one of the most unique games that I have ever played. The gameplay itself is just unlike anything else in that you play as a young boy named Simon who has been bequeathed the estate of his late great uncle, Herbert Sinclair. But old Uncle Herbie has placed a stipulation in his will stating that if you want to become the new owner of the estate known as Mount Holly, then all you have to do is find the 46th room in his 45-room estate. Just the premise of the game, just the description always just makes me so excited, even though I've already played the game. But the art design also was incredibly unique. The music in it was phenomenal. And again, this might not be a surprise to anybody, but not only is this game going to be my first game that I place in the S tier for today's video, but in fact, it was my favorite game that I played in 2025. Definitely would be my game of the year and has definitely earned a place in my top 3 favorite games of all time. If you've never played it, highly recommend. Full of puzzles, full of wonder, and I hope that you have a great time. Next up is a game called Galactic Getaway. Galactic Getaway was one that I was really hopeful for. I think in huge part due to the fact that the art style for it is so reminiscent of Animal Crossing, which I absolutely love. However, upon actually getting into the game, my hopes were dashed quite quickly, if I'm going to be honest. The game, I will admit, when I first played it, was when it first came out. So surely there was some bugginess to be expected, and honestly, I have not gone back to it, so I don't know if that bugginess has been patched. However, the last time that I looked at the reviews, which was right before making this video, they were pretty mixed with a lot of negative feedback. So part of me feels like a lot of the issues are probably still there. But with the game, you started out on this alien planet and would have to travel to either different parts of the planet or other planets entirely, trying to collect materials and building up your own home world, so to speak. But while I was playing, I experienced some honestly completely game-breaking glitches, which completely stopped me in my tracks and prevented me from progressing in the game further, which was really unfortunate because I was so excited for the game, and again, it was super cute too. So as much as I hate to do it, anytime a game completely prevents me from being able to play it, there's nothing more that I can really do there other than put this at our first D-ranked game of the video. But if any of you guys ended up playing this game and had a different experience, I'd like to hear your thoughts. Next up, we're going to talk about a viral sensation of a game that probably a lot of you guys have heard about or played, and it's called A Game About Digging a Hole. So when A Game About Digging a Hole first released, honestly, I kind of wrote it off because any type of simulator type games like that, a lot of times like the business management style simulator games really are not my cup of tea, because when it comes to games where you're just kind of grinding to do this one specific task kind of over and over with no set story in place or quest line, I just tend to get very bored and it ends up feeling very monotonous for me. However, I had heard such good things about A Game About Digging a Hole, and it was only $5 on Steam too. So my husband and I, we ended up playing it together on my Steam Deck, docked to the TV. Although it is a single player experience, a lot of times we'll play games together and kind of switch back and forth on the controller. And this was a very fun game for that. very short game. We were able to play it within 2 to 3 hours. But the premise of the game is that you move into a new home that's rumored to have buried treasure in the backyard. So, what looked like maybe it was going to be an easy task, you end up digging further and further until you're in the abyss, in the depths of who knows where. It was a very, very intriguing game. So, if you're looking for something cute to play, not too long, not too expensive, then I would recommend a game about digging a hole. I think for this game, I'll probably be putting it at a B rank, I think. Yeah, let's do that. All right, so next up for the games, let's talk about Grounded 2. So, as of the time of this video at least, Grounded 2 is still in its early access, and I probably predict that it's going to be continued early access for at least another year to year and a half, if it's anything like the early access with the first Grounded. But even though this game isn't complete, I did want to include it in this video since its early access started this year, and I did play a good bit of it when it first came out. Since I loved Grounded 1 so much, I had really high hopes for Grounded 2, and let me tell you, Grounded 2 has not disappointed so far. You continue to play as one of 4 kids who are not shrunken into a backyard anymore, but have shrunken into an entire city park. And with this game, it has a continued story from the first game, so if you haven't played the first Grounded, highly, highly recommend. It is one of, if not the coziest survival crafting game that you will ever find, with one of the most unique identities to it as well. Like, sometimes games kind of just blend together, whereas I will say with Grounded and Grounded 2, it just has such a unique personality to it, a unique story, and you can really, really tell that the devs loved what they were doing and loved what they were creating with this whole series. But yeah, Grounded 2 has a phenomenal sound score. In fact, the soundtrack I'm constantly bopping out to, even in my own spare time. The map is, once it's going to be complete, incredibly huge compared to the first game. Just overall phenomenal, and I can't wait to play more with it. So, Grounded 2 will be taking its place in my S ranking as well. So next up, I want to talk about a game called The House of Tesla. So The House of Tesla is a puzzle-based game surrounding around the story of Nikola Tesla and kind of following in his footsteps. With House of Tesla though, I will say one of the biggest problems that I had with it was the control scheme and how it was built, its entire infrastructure. And that although it was built for PC gaming and some consoles as well, I believe, for me personally, I tried playing this on my Steam Deck. The whole game absolutely feels like it was built to be a mobile game. And as far as I know, I could be wrong on this, but I believe I did look when the game first came out, and I don't believe it came out on any mobile devices, ironically. So it was very uncomfortable to play. Sometimes you would have to find something very specific in a certain spot and just kind of have to scroll all over your screen basically. And overall, the quote-unquote puzzles really struggled to hold my attention. I will say the art style of it was really beautiful, and the voice acting, from what I can remember, was not bad either. But House of Tesla was not one that I finished, and probably one that I might not ever finish if I'm going to be honest. So Although it's not D rank for me, I do believe that I'm going to be placing this one as our first C ranked game today. Next up, let's talk about one that I know a lot of our friends here watching have also played and probably enjoyed. It's called Hello Kitty Island Adventure. I wasn't really sure what to expect going into this game because I've never gotten into the whole Hello Kitty franchise, never really been a fan of it or known any of the characters other than Hello Kitty. So going in, I wasn't sure what to expect there, but I quickly found a gameplay that was in some ways reminiscent of Animal Crossing, which we brought up earlier and a lot of us know and love. The art style gave me some similar vibes, and also the gameplay mechanic where it asks you to log in every IRL day or as many IRL days as you can to further progress your progress. Sometimes I like that, sometimes not so much. But with Hello Kitty, although I did feel like the exploration at times was very rewarding feeling, and it was obviously really cute too, I think there were some things that really struggled to grasp my attention. I think one part being that it did ask you to come back every day to progress further in some places, and sometimes that kind of drains my interest after a while. But aside from that too, I did feel like not only with the art style, but like the story, the questing, the dialogue, that a lot of it felt very juvenile for me. If you have a young kid, or maybe you're a fan of Hello Kitty, then I think they'll enjoy that a lot more than I personally did. Not a bad game at all, but I just think for me, it was a little bit too young. I think I was kind of outside of the market there. So not a bad game at all, but I think I'm going to put Hello Kitty Island Adventure at a B rank, I think, yeah. Okay, so next up, we are going to talk about a game called Enzoy. A lot of you probably heard about Enzoy when it first came out, and the premise behind Enzoy is that it is a life simulation game where you can create your own character known as Enzoy, move into a city of your choice, and really live freely from there, from building up your house, getting a job, making friends, etc. I was very hopeful for Enzoy, and I know a lot of people were, especially thinking that it may be a replacement for the Sims games, or something pretty close to it. But man, was I surprised in a not great way. I did play Enzoy on its release day, and I will say for a life sim game, it was shocking to me how lifeless it felt. With the character creator, there were some really great elements of it that looked fantastic and super realistic, but there were other elements too where it felt like I couldn't get my character to look a certain way, whether that be able to get like a certain face shape or to get a certain hair color. So that was a bit frustrating. But after getting into the game and kind of getting my bearings with it after learning the control scheme and whatnot, having my Zoe walk around the city, it was just wild to see how there was nobody, no other NPCs anywhere to be found. It almost felt like a game that you would play after an apocalypse had happened in game, which is, again, not what you would expect from a life sim. So I really struggled to get into the game. And for that reason, among some other ones, including how the developers and publishers have treated its viewer base and its content creator base as well, I am going to be ranking Enzoy, no question, at AD rank. Okay, so next game on a bit of a lighter note is called Locomodo. The premise behind Locomodo is that you are a cute little critter that you can make in the beginning, and you're a train conductor tasked with going around to different towns, helping the NPCs with their various quests. The art style for this one was also really cute, but kind of going back to the Hello Kitty Island adventure thing, a bit too cutesy for my liking personally, but that's just a personal thing, nothing against the game whatsoever. With the gameplay itself, I did feel like sometimes that the exploration was rewarding, and it was a very relaxing experience for the most part. But my biggest grievances with Locomodo were that there was a lot of traveling back and forth to the point where it started to feel a bit tedious and annoying. And sometimes you would have a quest to find a very specific object and could not find it for the life of me. But overall, I did think it was a cute game. It might be one of those games where if you have it on your wish list, I would recommend it if it's on sale. I don't know about full price, but for Locomodo, I'm going to be placing this one at a rank B. So the next game that we'll talk about here is one called Lost Skies. Out of all of the games on today's list, I would say that Lost Skies may be the loosest term of cozy that I would use for any of the games. For me, survival crafting games are incredibly cozy, so that's why I will always include them in my cozy game recommendations, tier list, update videos, you name it. But with Lost Skies in particular, I was very hopeful for it for a few reasons. One, the art style was incredibly beautiful, but also it had come out just a few months after Aloft, which we talked about earlier, which was another game surrounding around floating islands and traversing through them and crafting survival, that kind of deal. So my bar was pretty raised from that point. But I will say with Lost Skies, again, exploration felt very rewarding a lot of the times, beautiful art style. But the biggest struggle that I had with Lost Skies and why I couldn't return to it was I felt the traveling in it was not only tedious, but incredibly stressful, which is not something that I want from a cozy game. Unlike Aloft, where you actually use your island to sail to other islands, with Lost Skies, a lot of the travel, at least from the several hours of the game that I had played, involved basically trying to not zipline, but use like grappling hooks to grapple to various islands back and forth. And it was very heavily stamina based. I felt like I was just constantly falling, and it was just not an enjoyable experience as much as I really, really wanted that game to be. So I'd be curious to see what updates the devs have come out with since the last time that I played. But for now, I'm going to be placing Lost Skies at a C rank. Okay, next up, let's talk about an incredibly cute game known as Out and About. With Out and About, you play as a character going to visit her grandmother, who lives on a cute island town. And along the way, you discover that the town has been struck by an incredible mudslide that completely wipes it out. So, in an effort to revitalize and rebuild the town, it's up to you to go out and forage a bunch of plants and learn about their medicinal properties along the way. Not only was the art style of this game incredibly beautiful, incredibly cute, but it was also an incredibly educational game. I've always loved plants, herbs, and homeopathic healing, so learning about all of the different plants in this game and their different abilities and what they could do was very, very intriguing to me. I would say the biggest downfalls that I had with Out and About mostly had to do with the extremely limited inventory and inventory management systems. As a loot goblin, I constantly struggled while playing this game to not fill up my inventory with various plants. And when you do fill up, you have to run back to these very specifically located research tables, basically, to empty out your items. And so just running back and forth, after some time just ended up feeling so tedious. I really, really struggled with that. So because of that situation, I don't think I'm going to be putting Out and About at an S rank, unfortunately, although it was pretty close, but I will be putting Out and About at an A rank. Okay, I'm super excited to talk about The Root Trees Are Dead, which is the next game on our list. If you're unfamiliar with The Root Trees Are Dead, it's an incredibly unique game that plays as a point and click, where you are a detective of sorts who is tasked with hunting down the family lineage of a family known as the Root Trees. And you do so all from this computer in your apartment. When I first looked at the trailers and screenshots of this game, I immediately was like, nope, not gonna be for me. It just didn't look super intriguing to me as someone who loves games with open world exploration and that kind of stuff. But I will say my opinion quickly changed once I actually jumped into the game. And the gameplay itself was just so intriguing. The writing was phenomenal. And I just couldn't find myself putting it down at all. I was just constantly intrigued by, finding out who is this person in the family? What did they do? How were they connected to these other people? So if you have not played The Root Trees Are Dead, highly, highly recommend. It is a very, very easy S rank for me in this video. Next up is Story of Seasons Grand Bazaar. So as someone who I believe has played all of, or just about all of, the previous Story of Seasons and Old Harvest Moon games, I am always interested in a new Story of Seasons game that comes out. But I will say with Story of Seasons Grand Bazaar, I was a little bit hesitant because I feel like decades ago, I had played some of the side Harvest Moon games, if you will, where they focus more on the shop as opposed to the farming and life sim aspects of it. So I think that was one huge hesitancy for me with this game. But man, was I really pleasantly surprised once I actually got into it. And yes, there is this whole shopkeeping aspect of the game, but for me personally, I didn't feel like it took away from the farming and life sim aspects of the game whatsoever. My biggest downfall with Story of Seasons, if I had to choose one, would be the time management in the game. How quickly the time goes throughout the day, and it did make me feel sometimes stressed out, like I couldn't get anything that I wanted to do done. And if the devs added in some kind of like time system where you could shorten or lengthen the days, I feel like that would be a very easy fix for players like myself. But another thing too was also that the way that the map was shaped and laid out, especially with that time constraint that you had each day in game, it felt like very difficult sometimes to get from point A to point B that you were trying to get to each day. So although it wasn't a perfect game for me, I did really enjoy it, and I do plan on going back to it at some point. So I think for me, I'm going to be putting Story of Seasons Grand Bazaar at an A ranking. Alright, so next up, let's talk about one called Sugardew Island. Sugardew Island is a small, cutesy game where you are on an island, you do your farming, and you're trying to basically heal the island from the people who came before you and left it in a disarray. Kind of tale as old as time with some of these cozy games. With Sugardew Island, I was really hopeful because of not only the genre, but also with just how cute it absolutely looked. But for the most part, I will say Sugardew Island did disappoint me for a few reasons. One of which being the map was just so incredibly small that it ended up just feeling very monotonous and a bit boring to go through after some time. The dialogue in the game and the writing, I feel like could have been better at times. It didn't do a great job of holding my interest. And I also felt like I was progressing through the game at a rate faster than what I would have expected for the price of the game. So with Sugardew Island, I think I'm going to be putting this game at a C ranking. I can't believe we're already on the final game of the tier list here. And this one is known as Voyagers of Nerra. With Voyagers of Nerra, it was another game that I had played the demo of when the demo came out and had such a fun time with it. So I was really hopeful for when the full game came out, and think I played it immediately when it released too. With Voyagers of Nerra, it's a survival crafting game with an incredibly beautiful and vibrant open world. You're on this island when you start, and your entire task surrounds around saving these cute little spirits who have found themselves locked or trapped in some way across the various islands around you. So while you're trying to go out and save them, there is some combat along the way, but as someone who is not a combat person, for me personally, it did not feel overwhelming at any time. And the game also did have some really cute base building with it too, that I think you might enjoy if you enjoy base building as well. Another nice thing about Voyagers of Nerra is that although it's a fantastic game to play single player, it has a really extensive multiplayer too, and I think allows up to 10 people, which is way more than you typically find with the multiplayer in this type of game. So whether you're looking to play a cozy new single player crafting survival game for yourself, or maybe a cozy game to play with your friendios, I personally would absolutely recommend Voyagers of Nerra and plan on putting this to finish off today's video at an S rank. So guys, what did you think of my rankings for today's games? I will admit there were a few small cozy games here and there that I did not include on today's list, mostly just because I did not get a whole lot of gameplay time with those games, maybe under half an hour. A lot of times, maybe due to the control scheme being like very wonky and not comfortable, or maybe I just felt like it was not my cup of tea, not my genre, and I didn't want to give it a biased review based on that lack of enjoying that type of game. So I hope that you enjoyed watching this video of my 17 recommended, or maybe not so recommended, cozy games that I played this year. But friends, will you please let me know what you thought of this video, what you thought of my recommendations, and what was, if you have to choose, your #1 favorite cozy game that you played this year? Let me know down in the comments while you're here. And if you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe to my channel. My name's Wade, and here at Cozy Adventures, we enjoy recommending you your future favorite cozy game. Thanks so much for watching. I plan on releasing a bunch more videos in 2026 that you aren't going to want to miss out on. Happy holidays, and see you in the next video.